Good morning, Arsenal and footballing community. For the first match review of the Premier League season for Albert JTV, Arsenal 2, Wolves nil. But before we get into it, let's smash the intro.
And I can see the logic behind the signing, even though some Arsenal fans.
We actually worked a good passage of play. Arsenal and footballing community. Like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to Albert JTV. Good morning, Arsenal community. Now, I have to apologize. So I'm laughing because when I do the overlay before I go live, when I do the little voice intro, I was speaking and I thought something's not right here. I had myself on mute. So you probably thought, why is there such a big delay of like about 10, 15 seconds? That is why. An amateur mistake, which can be made sometimes by us content creators. But when I took myself off mute, I was able to do the intro before we went into the music intro. So we got there in the end. But yeah, listen, great to be back, man. Premier League wise, anyway. Obviously, I've done a few shorts and talking about the preseason tour and a transfer show in between. But yeah, to be back at the Emirates, first game of the season. I was thinking about this the other day, actually. I can't remember going to a first game of the season for a long time. It's been years because of my previous job working in retail, which just was not really conducive to getting weekends off. But I have to be really, really honest. So it was nice to go to an opening game of the season. But people, smash the like button, obligatories, get them algorithms through the roof. This will go out on the audio later as well on Spotify and Apple and many other audio platforms. And yeah, man, it's good to be back. Let me come to the chat quickly. Morning to Emerson. Big up to you and big up to Matthew as well. Early morning breakfast show with Albert JTV. Now, it shouldn't be a surprise to some people because I did them last season, but more at 10 a.m. But going forward, as I've mentioned with the channel, I will sort of do a bit of brainstorming and seeing how I'm going to sort of do this season, because I think I sort of want to go back to my roots of when I first started, which was mixing live streams with pre-records. Obviously, a lot has advanced since then with YouTube, and the YouTube shorts are brilliant to do. More from an engagement factor to show people that you're still doing your content. I'll sort of looking to do more of the threads on Instagram, some more Instagram lives. So I'm covering both bases, not just with Twitter / X alone, but also with YouTube, and combine that with TikTok, as you've seen I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 months. Because you got to think about it logically. You have to use every platform possible, whether that be from an audio sense or through YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. I was very hesitant about doing TikTok. But you know what? In terms of getting your channel out there and reaching another audience, you have to do this as a content creator. You just have to. I think the one thing I won't do is Snapchat. Yeah, just it's too much. But the other ones, but big up to support people. Like I said, let's get into it, man, because it's a breakfast show. I don't want to keep you guys from watching important Sunday morning television. But yeah, listen, 2-0. I think prediction-wise, I went 2-1 on some other people's channels. I think on Potsy, so I went 2-0. Can't remember. But we didn't really have a lot to go on in terms of the games before us, because we had the United game against Fulham, which I thought was much of the same with Manchester United. But Arsenal, I thought personally, were good for 50 minutes. In terms of the team lineup, I was pretty pleased with it. Zinchenko probably started, I would say, more so because you don't want to rush back Urin Timber after such a major injury last season. And also on top of that, probably Calafiore is not... Maybe Mikel doesn't feel he's ready to start yet, but I'm hoping that that's coming sooner rather than later. But I was pretty pleased with the team lineup, to be honest with you. I know some people were probably more in favour of Trossard starting over Martinelli, possibly. But listen, we're back at home. Wolves have lost two big players in obviously selling Max Kilman on to West Ham, and obviously Pedro Neto has gone to Chelsea. So, but no, I thought for the first 50 minutes, I thought we was pretty good. I thought we created quite a few opportunities. I'm not so in terms of whether we created loads of clear cut, but I thought Martinelli looked sharp in the first half. I thought Saka was really good, man. I thought he's really, really good. I thought Wolves gave us a lot more room than what I thought. Because I wouldn't say Gary O'Neill is a manager or sets his teams up in a way that they're ultra defensive, but I thought they gave us a lot of room. I think I used the term to some Arsenal fans yesterday, freedom of the park. But yeah, I thought he was good, and I thought we was good for the 1-0 at the time. Because when you let Saka cut in that position, because let's get it right, I would say 8-9 times out of 10, if you give him the room or you give him an opportunity to get onto that left foot and put the ball in a dangerous area, 8-9 times out of 10 he'll do it, and he did that. It was a brilliant cross, and it was begging. Even Super Kev would have been super proud of that, man. But yeah, let me quickly touch on that actually, because that's the first thing I should started off with me. So a bit remiss of me. But listen, for those who are lucky enough to go to the game yesterday, a fantastic tribute for our legend Super Kevin Campbell, man. Big up to the Everton fans at Goodison Park, and big up to the West Brom fans that were at the Hawthorns for fantastic tributes. You know, that mural is beautiful as you walk to the ground. If you're coming from, I'd say, what station? If you're coming from, I say from the Tollerton way, if you're coming from that way to the ground. But yeah, fantastic tribute. When I was coming to the ground, met the amazing Suburban Chris. Finally, after such a long time, beautiful man, great hug, man hug I had with him. Hallmark moment. But as I was coming to the turnstile that I was going in, I think it was turnstile C. The guys were doing a great job in the concourse, singing Super Kevin Campbell, man. And Kev, I think Kevin must have bought at the great weather as well, man. It was a hot day, but it wasn't crazy hot as it was like on the Monday. It was crazy, but yeah, an amazing tribute to Kevin, man. An amazing minutes applause, probably even longer than a minute's applause. But yeah, miss him, man. Miss him loads, man. Just love getting man hugs off of him. Beautiful voice notes with him. But yeah, big up to the Arsenal faithful in the concourse and in the ground. Having conversations with many Arsenal fans before the game and after the game, and even during the game with some of the guys I sat next to in the ground. So big up Super Kev, man. I'm glad we could get the 3 points for you, man. And you would have loved that cross from Bukayo Saka, because that was a Kevin chance written all over it, man. So big up to Super Kev, man. And may he rest in peace, man. Absolute bloody legend. But yeah, listen, it's hard with first games of the season, because we've obviously had a lot of players that played in major tournaments across many clubs, and we went deep in tournaments, i.e. Saka's, your Declan Rice's, Brazil, they got to the semi-final of the Copa America, and obviously the players come back late. Not all of them got to feature on the tour. Calafiori come towards the back end of it. Hopefully the Mikel Moreno deal will get done sooner rather than later. But yeah, guys, drop your questions in. I'll give you like a bit of a warning sign, but what I will do is I will star the questions if you do drop them in regarding the game yesterday, or certain individual performances, or what you may be expecting with the January transfer window. The transfer window with what, just under 2 weeks left now, 12 days is it? But yeah, Arsenal really, I think the only injustice in that first half really, after getting a fantastic Kai Havertz header, was that we didn't score more. But as I mentioned when we did Lee Judge's TV yesterday after the game with the interviews, is that 1-0 is a very, very dangerous scoreline in football. I actually don't think David Raya had a lot to do, but I think that's the thing with the position of a goalkeeper, is that you might not have a lot to do, but there will be moments in matches where you'll be called upon. And he was, to keep the scoreline at 1-0. That fantastic save. I was right behind that, actually. Yeah, I think they had the build-up play with, I think it was where Chanu got the crossing. It's a beautiful cross, because I was sat literally dead on the halfway line for where the cross came in. I was row 30, so I was well back. I saw a whole picture of the pitch. A very good header from, is it Larson? And to shift his weight from one position, David Raya, to make the save to his right was a brilliant save. It was a brilliant save at the time when I saw it in real time, but it was an even better save when I watched it back on the 30-minute highlight show on Sky. I didn't realize actually the game was it was the full game on Sky. I think it's from about 8 o'clock, where you could watch the full 90 minutes. So for those who didn't get to watch the game at the ground or didn't get to watch it at all, I hope you saw the opportunity to watch it back on Sky yesterday. And again, they showed the highlights package for about 30 minutes. I think it's about 11 p.m. But David Raya, look, the goalkeeping position is spoken a lot about at Arsenal. You know, we had the days of, we had Bern Leno and Emi Martinez, who's the top goalkeeper. But in this case, you have to back the manager, because we've bought a lot of goalkeepers, Matt Ryan, Matt Turner, Brunison, who've not been ideal backups. But you have to have the faith that in terms of us buying David Raya, that's Arteta's guy, man. That's Arteta's guy. He's got a working relationship with, I forgot the guy's first name, but the surname's Canner, and it's the goalkeeping coach at Arsenal. Listen, David Raya is very good with his feet. Will bring a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? Not a surety, but a bit more calmness, probably. But yeah, Raya's Arteta's guy, and listen, we obviously don't want to see some of the stuff we saw last season in terms of taking too long on the ball, and obviously when we play Spurs away, that horrendous mistake. But like I said, there's the games when you're not going to be action-packed and a lot to do, but he made some big saves yesterday, particularly that one in the first half to keep it at 1-0. But I thought we should have been 1-0 up. Sorry, 2-0 up going into the second half. But yeah, so I thought Saka looked good. Declan Rice sort of further forward in sort of the 8 row, and Thomas Partey sitting in that pivot. I think the Declan discussion is an interesting one in terms of the 6 and the 8, but we'll touch on that a little bit more. But let me come to the chat quickly, so I don't want to miss out you guys of what you're saying. Let me see. You see Matt saying about people really got the knives out for Partey. I have more patience than that. We'll touch on Thomas Partey, and I'll give you my thoughts quickly, Matthew. It was a purely standing ovation. Did particularly people turn up, especially for the tribute, expo, etc. From when I got in the ground, I got to my seat about. They were still warming up when I got to my seat. So, and then they came out to start the match probably about 5-10 minutes later. But yeah, it was a great ovation, man. It really, really was. And like I said, the stuff in the concourse was fantastic. You know what I mean? Kevin, he touched a lot of people's hearts, man. He actually did. I have to say, Villanova next week already feels big, especially as there's so much pressure not to lose games. City set such a huge bar. And that's the thing. We lost 5 Premier League games last season. That's too many if you want to win the league. It's that simple. And I think they're playing Chelsea, aren't they, Man City? That's the thing about. I've said it before. I've said it. I'll continue to say it. 90 plus points is the mark, and that might not be enough to get it done. But in most cases, if you look at Premier League season history, it will get it done. With the exception Liverpool getting 97 points, not winning the league, which is insane. But yeah, 5 games is too many to lose. It's way too many to lose. And you know, Villa away next week is a big game. More so because of the context of last season. We played them twice, losing twice. The first game in Villa Park, we should have got a draw. Still, that goal that got disallowed for Havertz was a disgrace, in my opinion. I think the referee guessworked it. And then obviously the killer blow was losing to them at home at the Emirates, which completely dented our title chances, 100%. Even though we lost one game in 2024. I don't think Man City lost a game. They lost to Villa in December last year, and they didn't lose a game since then. So the Ramsdale situation is interesting. I think my only thing with that is, Matthew and the guys in the chat, when you're watching this live or watch it back, is when you look at with Arsenal in the transfer window, quickly before I can get back to the game, is I was looking at it more from players going out. We know that we need to bring players in and to improve the first sort of 14, 15 players, and then the squad depth. And obviously we'll bring through the likes of Lewis Skelly and Werry. They're probably the two that might come through a bit more this season. Is Arsenal's outgoings. That's something we're behind the 8 ball for so many years, man. I thought the money we got for ESR was spot on. Even going back to the sale of someone like Flo Balogun, I thought that was spot on. And the reason why we got, and I think with Balogun, I look at Eddie quickly, the reason why we was able to get the money that we got for Flo Balogun was because he had the season in Liga, and it's a standout season. So he's able to command and get a bigger fee and a lot more money. With Eddie, I don't think we can do that, just because, for me, purely on his goals record. Buyers are not going to take into consideration so much how many games he started. They're going to look at his numbers in terms of goals and what Arsenal held out for. I thought Eddie would go for between 25 and 30. I'm shocked the deal never got done. But I understand Arsenal's point of view, but then I think maybe he's not the player to command what you want, if that makes sense. But let me come back to Jenny. Go on, Jenny. Jenny, I can't wait to give you a big hug when I see you. Hopefully, I'll see you at Brighton. Hopefully. Matthew, I'm going to start. Emerson, I'm going to start that question. I'm going to answer it in a bit. I'll even come back to it. I'll start Matthew's and Emerson's questions. Yeah, we've got to move players on, man. We've got to move players on. And that's why I shot that Eddie never got done. If it was me, if purely down to me, this is my opinion only, I would have looked to have moved on either one or the other in terms of either Zinchenko or Kivior. Obviously, that being dependent on who's interested in them. There were links with Bayern and Zinchenko. I don't know how concrete that was. There was links about Kivior going out on loan with an obligation to buy. There were links, but not sure how true that was. But as much as we want to bring players in, we need to move players on and get the money in. And I'll always stick by that and stand by that. But yeah, people of the game. So yeah, we already 1-0 at halftime. Like I said, I thought it was good for the first 50 minutes sort of coming out. But I guess I would have been totally naive to think that it would have been a plain sailing Arsenal home win, because it definitely wasn't going to be that bad. I thought Wolves came out better. They got a brilliant fullback, by the way, left back El Noure, very good. I could see why Liverpool were interested in him. Very good fullback. They came out and got the ball down and played. They applied a bit more pressure. They didn't give us the room of the freedom of the park as they did in the first half. And there were moments in the match, if you remember, where you had Saliba was guilty giving the ball away. I think he did it twice in the first half and he did it once in the second half. And people mentioned about it being pre-season and the start of the season. I understand that, but my issue is with Arsenal in terms of their possession. Is you're looking at your two most experienced players in the side who give the ball away continuously or have done it in moments, even going back to last season, under no pressure, and that's Thomas Partey and that's Alexander Zinchenko. And when you've got your experienced players doing that, it must drive Mikel Arteta absolutely insane, because you're putting us under unnecessary pressure. You're giving the ball away needlessly, whether that's from a defensive third point of view or even going through from an attacking point of view. Because there's moments when you look at Partey and you can see what he brings, but there's moments that he drives you absolutely bonkers by giving the ball away needlessly. And it almost came a little bit contagious in the second half. Because like I said, Saliba done it as well. When they had that chance to go through, I think the guy hit the ball straight at David Ray. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been what Wolves player. It's gone out my head now. Sorry, apologies. But there was that sort of I'd say 15-minute period in the start of the second half where Wolves looked like they could actually get back into the game. But again, we look at clutch moments. We look at people that can change games. And as I said in my title, same old Saka. I don't know about you guys, and I'd be interested to know what you guys think. I watched it. I'll talk about the sort of his goal, and the assist in the first half for Havertz. But when he got substituted, Saka, and I was looking around, he obviously gets a big round of applause from the fans, and I was just watching him come off, and I just, in the way he embraced, I don't think I've seen a footballer, definitely at Arsenal, and I'd have to go through the archives or look at current football or past football where he's absolutely adored. Loved is too nice a word. I would say he's absolutely adored. I don't have any children, and if I was to adopt, I would adopt someone like Bukayo Saka. I'm old enough to bloody have him as a son. He's just amazing. I love him. He rightly so, for me, got the flowers he deserved at the Euros. After the goal against Switzerland and his performance and having to play a multitude of different positions other than the one where he plays on a wide right. He's already got a goal and assist in game week 1. But I say that in a way that I don't say it in a way that it's a shock and a surprise, because he's been doing it in an Arsenal shirt for a number of seasons. So this is not a shock. But he's going to be a big player for us this season. But like I said, I have to give plaudits to David Raya because, you know what I mean, he made some big saves, man. Because if the game goes from 1-0 to 1-1, it's a different game. It's a different game. The crowd will get restless. The players will start probably making more mistakes due to tiredness or not enough minutes in their legs because of pre-season or it just being pre-season. But Bukayo Saka's just he's so important for us. And I understand the argument when people talk about bringing in cover for Saka or bringing in somebody when he's not at it who can come on and freshen things up. Because if Arsenal are not going to go down the route of getting in a forward, which I don't think is going to happen personally now, at the start of the window and the end of last season, I was thinking we need to get a forward in. And when I touch on that, Saka will get us numbers in terms of goals and assists, as will Odegaard. But my thing with the whole striker thing and getting a forward in was, and I've made this reference before, so I'm saying something which is not new, by the way, with Kai Havertz, is that he will score us goals this season. But I go back to the Euros. For me, Kai Havertz should have been top goal scorer, 100,000,000%. He had so many chances. He gets into so many good opportunities and gets chance. I mean, he had the chance yesterday. I shouldn't be laughing when he had the chance that fell onto his right foot, and he just completely fluffed it in the second half. But that's for me where we're going to have games where we won't get a lot of chances. You saw some good passages of play. Arsenal opened up Wolves quite a few times yesterday, but there's going to be games where we're not going to have a lot of chances, and it might fall to Kai Havertz. And is he clinical enough to take those chances? And from what I've seen so far in an Arsenal shirt and a Germany shirt, the answer is no. He will get us goals, whether he'll get us the required goals. And I'm talking serious numbers in terms of 20 plus. I'm talking goals. I'm not talking about assists. We can talk about goal contributions in another segment, but I'm talking about what you offer in terms of goals. That's where I think we will fall, where we could potentially fall short in terms of a league title push, because Jesus has looked sharp in pre-season. But when you want someone in then clutch moments, I'm not sure your Kai Havertz and your Gabriel Jesus are those guys. I could be proved wrong. I hope he goes and bangs in 20 plus goals this season, Havertz. I hope he does. But I'm talking in terms of this season going long term. I'm not sure. That's why I was like, but then I'm like, if you're not gonna go and put down the money to get the person that I want, who you know who I want Victor Gyökeres. I've wanted him since December last year. If Arsenal are not going to do that, then I could live with it if you get in a wide forward. I'd rather you stack us top heavy, attacking areas centrally, than defensively, because I think we're covered there. We can't help when injuries happen. You know, Tomiyasu, Ben White, Kivior, Zinchenko, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiore, Timber. Great to see Timber get some minutes on, and these little cameo appearance. He's going to be a big player for us if we keep him fit. Went on that little mazy run on the right hand side when Saka. And listen, he's going to be a big player for us. Got a bit too sure of himself when he tried to do that little passenger play late in the second half. But listen, he's going to be a big bonus for us, and hopefully Arsenal can address the balance of our left side of the pitch, where we have it brilliant on the right side of the pitch with Ben White, Saka, Odegaard. That beautiful trio. It works. Let me come to the chat quickly. What's Jenny saying? So, Jesus. There are streams out there, people. I'm not going to promote for obvious reasons, but there are ways. Yeah, Saka, man. He's amazing. Amazing, honestly. Let me come to the questions quickly. I'll come to the questions because you guys, Matt and Emerson, put them in. Let me go back to them. 2 sets, people. Here we go. Emerson, if we get Mourinho in, who would you like to see as Saka understudy? And if we sell or loan out Ramsdale, who would you like to see come? Good question. I know we brought in a young goalkeeper, Sefton, from Ajax, but unless Arsenal has seen something where they feel he's ready at that tender age of 18 to be a backup, then so be it. But the way things are looking, I've not heard anything in terms of a goalkeeper. Because the thing is, if Ramsdale were to go, and with the Ramsdale thing quickly, looking at the back end of last season, we've known the situation with Ramsdale where, you know, we bought Raya on loan at the start of last season. So Ramsdale's position at the club has been not great for a long time. So when I was looking at Arsenal player sales, I actually thought he would have been one of the first out of the door, Aaron Ramsdale, because we've known the situation in terms of trying to move him on. I don't think it was great in terms of, obviously, he was linked with a move with Ajax 5 days before we start the first game of the season, because if Ramsdale moves, then your backup and the goalkeeper is an 18-year-old kid who we've not seen play. I get it, he comes with plaudits, and obviously he must be thought of pretty highly. But that's a lot to put on a guy if he's going to be number 2 to David Raya. So if Arsenal are looking at goalkeeping options, we need to see them ASAP. In terms of Moreno, I think, if I'm going to be honest, and I think Declan Rice can actually do more than just being a 6, but even yesterday with that balance on the left-hand side that we talk about, if you bring in Moreno, I would play him in the 8 because his passing ability is insane, by the way. I'd move Declan Rice further back, but that doesn't mean to say he's just a 6 and he just sits there and be a pivot, because Declan Rice can offer more than that. He got double figures for goals and assists last season in his first season at Arsenal, playing a combination of the 8 and obviously being in the 6 in certain games. I'd play Moreno in the 8, Rice more in the 6. And you've obviously got to remember we're bringing in Calafiore. So that left-hand side balance would be absolutely addressed, because you also got to remember Urian Timber can play there as well. So hopefully that answers your question, my friend. Matt, I'm going to come to a question in a minute because I want to talk about one guy. Actually, no, I'm going to come to a question now, Matt. Sorry. Albert, Chelsea versus Man City, how does it go? Ooh. Normally, Man City are not quick starters, you know. That not. I thought they started pretty slowly last season, but they always come good. Come towards the end of the season. You know, when you won 5 out of 6 Premier Leagues, was it 6 out of 7? I can't remember now. You got pretty good form. So listen, Chelsea could sneak something. The first game of the season, you never know. It'd be interesting to see how Chelsea do with the trillion amount of players they bring into that football club. But I want to touch on one player because it comes off the back of kind of Emerson's question, talking about if we get Moreno, because I think it's linked to this player I'm going to talk about. Guys, I want to know your thoughts about this guy, Gabriel Martinelli. Now, some Arsenal fans I spoke to yesterday were kind of on board with, they were probably thinking Trossard would probably start before or instead of Martinelli. I wasn't displeased to see Martinelli play because I think what Mikel, I assume, is trying to do is to, how can I put this? Giving enough room for these guys to go out and show them and say, you know what? I should be playing in the first team. I should be playing in the first team. I thought in the first half, I thought he started brightly. And the second half, there's that saying, isn't there? It was chalk and cheese. And to be fair, it was. I thought the first half he was in the game. I thought he tried to make some runs going down the byline and combining with Rice a couple of times with Zinchenko. But the second half, I thought he was non-existent. I thought he absolutely was. I think what hasn't helped him is obviously his injuries over his time at Arsenal, but he's come through that. I think what hasn't helped also is if we can address that side where, for example, if Timber starts at left back or more so Calafiore, you bring in Moreno, I'm hoping you'll see a better Martinelli, because maybe you might have a fullback that goes on the outside of him. You might have a fullback that will take away the opposition fullbacks to give Martinelli more room to move into. I'm hoping that will help Martinelli more, because obviously Saka has that on the right-hand side with Odegaard and Ben White. Martinelli doesn't have that. But what I will say about Martinelli, because I'm not going to keep going on for much longer, because I want to go home and enjoy. I want to go home. I want to enjoy the rest of my Sunday and watch Super Sunday at 10, Match Day Sunday at 10, and also do some Sunday house chores. How exciting! But let me not digress. I think the thing for me with Martinelli is, I don't know if you guys would agree or not, is we have to, I think us as fans, there's that threshold with players, young players in inverted commas, where it crosses over from being, you're not a young player anymore. You're a first team player who's a senior player, and you need to deliver more. I think it's coming to that. I think it's probably at that point with Martinelli, to be honest with you. He's 23, 22, 23. I think now he's been at Arsenal long enough now to start being more consistent. I don't think there's any more excuses anymore. And I think the biggest thing for me, which is going to help his consistency, and I've always said this for Gabriel Martinelli, this is something not new that I'm saying with him, is for me, a few years ago, it was about him scoring more goals. He did that. I think the season he got 15 Premier League goals, was it? And 5 assists. The assists column for me is an issue. I'll tell you why it's an issue. For a player that plays in his position, he should have a lot more assists. I'd actually go as far to say he should have double figures for goals and assists in his position. What's stopping him doing that is his decision-making in the final third. And sometimes for me, it's tunnel vision when he plays. And when I mean tunnel vision, be aware of your surroundings and get your head up. He plays with that. And I tell you the example I said last season with him. when we played Manchester United away, we won 1-0 with a Trossard goal. He got the ball from Martin Odegaard in the second half of that game at Old Trafford, and he went down a run. He went on a run on the left on Man United's right hand side of the pitch, where he actually got a shot off. It got tipped over the bar by Onana. But my issue with that was that not once when he received that ball from Martin Odegaard did he get his head up and look around and see he was in a better position. And he still does that now. That needs to be eradicated out of his game. That's something he needs to take on board. Yes, Mikel Arteta can get him on the training pitch and work with him and etc., etc. But your in-game management, when you're the player on the pitch and playing, you have to make better decisions. People talk about, and I mentioned this when we played Liverpool 2 seasons ago at Anfield, when we drew 2-2. And we had the Michael Thomas moment when he's got the ball to put Saka through. You have to make that pass. It's not a difficult pass. And that, for me, is the thing lacking with Martinelli. And it has been for 2/3 seasons now. That's my own personal assessment. And those little tweaks and those things have to get better this season, because you've got Trossard, who's a finisher. You've got Saka, who will get double figures in goals and assists. Martin Odegaard will come up with I think double figures in goals and assists as well. And when you bring in the likes of Moreno and obviously when it does happen, and obviously Calafiore is here, hopefully that will help Martinelli. But he's got to take that on board and move forward going forward. Those things have to happen in his game for him to elevate and be better. He's not a kid anymore. You're a first team senior player who's been in the team now for a good 3 years now. You're going to have to step up, and you need to step up because there's going to be players coming after your shirt. And secondly, we're going after a juggernaut in Manchester City where we're not going to get second chances. We have to be ruthless. And he plays in a position in the side where we're relying on you to put numbers and put goals and put defenders on their backsides. He has to be doing that now. So that's my thoughts about Martinelli. I don't know what you guys think in the chat or when you watch it back, but that's for me where he has to improve. It's the attention to detail and that final moments and just getting your head up and looking around in terms of player awareness. That has to be the step going forward this season. So what are we? 41 minutes in. God, I've gone on longer than I thought. Right, let's come to the chat quickly. So I'm going to wrap up, but let's come to you guys now. Guna Jack, let's go up, big up to you. So clear the plan is Moreno, Rice, start, Partey, Jorginho backup. Still for me, other than the need for a clinical striker, Eze's a no-brainer. Yeah, I dream one. Guna Jack, it's not a dream. I love Eze. I spoke about Eze in my first 6-7 months of doing YouTube. I spoke about that. Les Ferdinand raved about him before the Euros we had in this country, saying he should be in the squad, then the England squad. He was a player for me we don't have at Arsenal. Yes, we have creativity, but if you actually look at Arsenal's playing staff, you tell me a player that's like Eze. I've heard people say if we brought in someone like Eze, it would block the pathway for Ethan Nwaneri. That's a debate we can have, of course. I love Eze. He'd be brilliant. I think that apparently his activation for his release clause ran out, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? It's not that I would be shocked if he's at Palace another season, but I could see him definitely moving on. I'd love him at Arsenal. I think he'd be a fantastic addition for us, but I'm not sure it would happen. But listen, he's worth it. He's absolutely worth it. When you're taking on the likes of Man City, you need some major, and he would be a brilliant step up for Eze. Jenny's putting stuff in the chat. Man City will nick it late. Wouldn't surprise me. Martinelli, liking coming off the bench. Quite a few. Good. A lot of you in the chat. Let's go through. Let's run through the chat. And City don't usually start fast, but how many times do they have a top 16? If you can't still Clark Chelsea top 6 first game of the season, they might have City switched on from the get-go. Possibly. It'd be interesting to see how Chelsea get on this season, man. Maresca, big job, man. Morning, Doug, my Liverpool brother, man. Love you, bro. Agree about Setford. Yeah, unless we don't know something, he's going to be Arsenal's number 2. Unless if Aaron Ramsdale's not moved on, and obviously they've spoken about the goalkeeper at Espanyol. Thank you for reminding me, Emerson. Big up to you, man. Let me come to chat again. Good, lots of you in the chat, man. Brenny, man, love, bro. Good to see you in the chats, people. Smash the like button. You know, I'll come back to chat very quickly in a minute because I'm going to wrap up soon, but I don't want to ignore you guys. But if you don't know what to do by now, people, this is what you absolutely should do. And there you have it, people. Smash the like button, subscribe to Albert JTV, and get them algorithms through the roof, like I like to say. But let me come back to the chat quickly. Go on, Doug. What's your unpopular opinion? I have a feeling City might lose to Chelsea today. No Rodri is crucial. Doug, glad you pointed that out. That's why I like people coming in the chat, man. You're putting the info that's necessary. I didn't know Rodri was missing for Man City today. But yeah, Cole Palmer's gonna have a big season for Chelsea, man. Serious talent. Brenny, a striker and a right winger, Premier League or world class, makes rotation easier for like. Brenny, I don't know how much you've caught of the stream, but I think the more the windows carried on, I'm not sure Arsenal will do, but I think the fact that Arsenal tried to get Benjamin Sesko shows me they still feel they need a striker. Mikel still feels that. I get it with Sesko. Like, I don't know what you guys thought. Like, to me, I said this. The legend Kevin Campbell would have agreed with me. Rest in peace, Kevin. But I think with Sesko, for me, he needed a couple more years of seasoning. Yeah, I can see why Arsenal were interested because he's got some attributes that they would like. I don't think this necessarily Euro showcased him that great because I didn't think he was brilliant, but I also thought that maybe he plays in a better club side than he does for his national side, and that's no disrespect to his national team, but I can see why Arsenal want to get him. He would have been a cheaper option. 2, you've got a room to work with. But like I said, listen, I love Gyökeres, man. Like, what can I say, people? I'd want him at Arsenal. I know people talk about, but it's the Portuguese league, but I'm talking about the player I've seen since he was at Coventry, and goal and assist machine. Would absolutely fit in at Arsenal 100%. But people, we've got another, was it 12, 13 days of the transfer window left? Who knows? Hopefully we'll get Moreno over the line. Obviously, Calafiore. We've got Villa next week, big game. You know what? I'm unfortunately working next Saturday, but I need to try and finish a little bit early. But Villa's gonna be tough. Listen, they've made some good signings this season, but you know, they've been backed. Unai Emery's been backed by the Villa board. Villa Park is a tricky ground to go away to. But listen, if we want to make a statement, if we want to win the league, we're gonna have to go to Villa Park and win. It's that simple. It's not easy, but we need to go there and win. If I was to make any changes, it depends if he feels Timber's ready, or even Calafiore. To me, one of those two come in for Zinchenko against Villa, for me personally. I don't know what it is with Zinchenko. I don't know. I feel like he gets to 60 minutes and it's the concentration levels dip, or there's a complacency that sets in terms of him giving the ball away. But I would start either Calafiore or Timber next week against Villa. And you might even argue you could possibly start Trossard over Martinelli, possibly. But yeah, Villa's a massive game next week, 100%. But people, like I said, that is Albert JTV over and out for a breakfast match review. I will be doing going forward for the channel. I will obviously continue doing the watch alongs on Judges TV and my channel combined to get the watch time up. And I enjoy doing them, as you can tell by the reactions of last season. I'll be doing more pre-records, which will probably be more likely to go out on the Monday, depending when Arsenal play, because I have to work it around that. The weekly surgery shows, I will do more solos of those, as well as getting guests on. Live stories is something that I can pick up at any time. That's not a specific time, because I have to solely rely on with that with the availability of guests. With other shows, I can be more flexible and do solos, but with live stories, it's about making sure people are actually definitely free. That's the main thing. But people, I appreciate the support. Big up to the people for acknowledging 55k channel views for Albert JTV. Little Albert JTV with the views. It's much appreciated. It's a very competitive field out there in terms of the channel and football channels and getting content out there. But just to get that for me as a very small channel, to get those amount of views over amount of time is mind blowing, man. To be honest with you, it's surreal. to be fair, but I will be back with more YouTube shorts, as you would have seen, covering transfer news, because it gives me a lot more flexibility in terms of if I'm at work, just about to start work, or after, I can still maintain a level of engagement with the TikToks, the YouTube shorts, and also doing the threads on Instagram as well, which are good. So people, stay tuned. Thank you for support. Seeing some new faces in the chat, so that's eagerly, muchly appreciated. Yeah, just keep tuning in and supporting the channel, man. You'll see me on various other podcasts and getting the word out there and subscribing. So big up to people watching on X and on YouTube and on Facebook. And I'll clip this up and put it out on my audio so people can hear my Southeast London dulcet tones. But yeah, it's good to be back at the Emirates yesterday, man. But people, like I say, this is very, very thankful. And again, another reminder. And there you have it, people. That is Albert JTV over and out. Same old Saka. Arsenal 2, Wolves 0. We move on to Villa away. See you soon, people. God bless.